Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are taking on a mission. We're diving into a topic most people approach with, well, a mix of dread and just pure avoidance. The law.
Yeah.
You sent us a fantastic set of sources that all basically ask the same question. If the law is an ocean, how do we stop drowning in it and, actually start swimming?
It's such an essential question. The common perception is that law is just for courtrooms, right?
Right.
It's filed away in these dusty old documents.
Right, for lawyers in black coats.
Exactly. But the reality is, it's so much more pervasive. The legal framework is like the quiet, invisible operating system of our whole society.
A operating system.
It governs nearly every single interaction we have, whether we even realize we're using it or not.
So it's not just a rule book for judges. It's the foundation of our daily lives.
Think about it for a second. When you negotiate your salary or sign a new job contract, you're engaging with labor law.
Sure.
When you rent an apartment or buy a car, that's contract and tenancy law. Even the 5 minutes you spend scrolling through your social media feed.
Sure.
That's IT law, privacy statutes, and even defamation law, all working in the background.
So the stakes are always high then. If this is the operating system, the core idea we pulled from your sources becomes incredibly powerful. Everyone knows that ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Right.
But the flip side, the insight we're really chasing today, is that awareness of the law is a kind of everyday superpower.
That is the shortcut we're trying to provide. We're taking this dense, intimidating world and just translating it into practical, understandable knowledge. We need to stop reacting to legal problems.
And start being proactive.
Yeah, start being proactive. Exactly.
Okay, we've got a clear path forward for you. We're going to unpack 4 specific, very common legal traps that people fall into all the time, often without realizing they're surrendering their rights.
And then we'll get into 3 actionable solutions that show exactly how that preparedness translates directly into power.
Most people wait until there's a full-blown crisis before they even think about calling a lawyer.
We want to show you how just a moment of preparation today can stop that crisis from ever even happening.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with those 4 traps. These are the ways the average person just accidentally leaves themselves vulnerable.
The overarching lesson here is that law deals in evidence, not in emotion. Crises rarely happen out of the blue. They're usually the result of risks that just weren't understood or documented beforehand.
So you might feel you're in the right, but if you don't have the paperwork...
If you don't have the proof, the law just can't help you.
That makes the first trap so incredibly dangerous because it feels so normal. Signing documents without reading them. This isn't just a mistake. It's a routine surrender of power.
And it applies to everything. The new job contract, the lease on your apartment, bank loan documents, and yes, those endless digital terms and conditions updates that pop up on your phone.
The sources outline some genuinely frightening consequences here. We're not just talking about a late fee. When you sign blindly, you could be agreeing to unexpected salary deductions, non-refundable security deposits.
Or heavy penalty clauses buried on page 17. And one of the most important ones, arbitration rules that can force you into an expensive dispute resolution abroad.
Okay, that arbitration clause, can you break that down? Because that sounds technical.
It is, and it's designed to be. Most people see it and just skip over it.
Yeah.
But in a lot of consumer and employment contracts, these clauses mean you can't go to court. Any dispute has to be resolved by a private arbitrator.
And why is that a problem for the average person?
Because the company often controls the process. They pick the forum, and sometimes, especially with online services, they'll specify that the arbitration has to happen in a different city or even a different country.
So they're just making it impossible for you to fight back.
It's a huge cost and logistical barrier designed purely to discourage you from ever pursuing your claim, even if you are 100% in the right.
That is the critical nugget right there. If you take just one thing from this deep dive, it's this. Never sign a document, physical or digital, that you have not fully understood.
Even if it costs you $100 for a quick legal review, it is infinitely cheaper than the consequences of a bad contract.
So if the first trap is about paper, the second one is far more sensitive. It's about feelings and money. Mixing personal trust with financial transactions.
Now, this one is tough.
It really hits home because we operate from a place of love or, obligation. We trust our friends or family, but the sources are so clear. Money has destroyed more relationships than almost anything else.
And the legal system can't account for sentimentality. It doesn't care about your feelings. It requires proof.
So that verbal promise, oh, don't worry, I'll pay you back next month, That's literally worthless.
It's worthless when the relationship sours. For any significant amount, you must treat it legally. That means getting something in writing. Even a quick text or email confirming the terms is better than nothing. Hey, sending you $500 now, agreed repayment is on X date.
Simple.
It's simple and it saves a relationship.
And the most dangerous part of this trap, becoming a guarantor for someone.
Absolutely. When you guarantee a loan, you are not just helping someone out. You are legally co-signing that debt. If they default, the bank isn't calling them.
They're coming straight to you.
They're coming straight to you.
Yeah.
Your trust is irrelevant. Your signature on that paper is the only thing that matters. Proof is always better than trust.
Trap number 3 is the modern one. Social media behavior that can spiral into a legal nightmare. We all fall into this trap of thinking what happens on our phones isn't, real.
Or that anonymity protects us. But the sources detail exactly how traceable and consequential our digital activity is. We confuse the speed of information with impunity.
So forwarding a rumor about a coworker.
That could be criminal defamation. Sharing someone's photo without their explicit permission, especially if it's a child, can violate serious privacy laws.
What about just, piling on in an online argument, aggressive comments?
Abusive comments directed at a specific person can absolutely be harassment, and that's prosecutable. Even something that feels minor, like downloading pirated movies, is a copyright violation that can lead to fines.
There was that fantastic, really chilling quote in the sources about this.
Ah, yes. The keyboard has jailed more people than the sword.
Wow.
It's a stark reminder that digital actions aren't fleeting. They create permanent, legally admissible records.
So the action checklist here is simple, but it takes discipline.
Yeah.
Before you share something, verify it. Before you comment, think. And before you post content with other people, get their consent.
And that brings us to trap number 4, the failure to plan legally for the future. So many people treat things like wills, nominations, power of attorney as something morbid.
Right, like you're tempting fate. But you frame it differently. You frame it as the ultimate act of responsibility.
It is. It's about protecting the people who rely on you.
Mm-hmm.
Life is unpredictable. You need a will to make sure your assets go where you intend. You need nominations on your bank accounts and insurance policies. You need a power of attorney.
Can you just clarify something for me there? The nomination, isn't that enough? If I nominate my spouse on my bank account, don't they just get the money?
That is a huge misconception that causes massive problems. A nomination only simplifies the process of getting the funds. The nominee is often just a trustee.
A trustee.
Yes, meaning they hold the assets, but might have to distribute them according to a will or inheritance laws. Without a will, you leave your loved ones to fight over legal rights, and that's the last thing you want.
The deeper reason for all this planning is so powerful. You don't do it because you don't trust your family. You do it so they never have to fight each other.
Exactly.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. We've talked about how people give up their rights. Now let's look at the power you gain when you are informed. We have to challenge this belief that courts are only for the rich.
It's such a debilitating myth, and it's what powerful companies and landlords want you to believe. The truth is, the people who win legal disputes aren't always the richest.
They're the most prepared.
They're the ones with the documentation,
Yeah.
ones who understand the specific law and who act early. Justice is strong and available when you are informed.
So let's look at this in action with some examples from the sources. Example A, an illegal salary deduction. Most employees they just swallow it.
They do because they're afraid for their job. But the informed person doesn't panic. They know they have the right to demand a written clarification, a legal justification for that deduction.
And if the employer can't provide one,
Then the employee can file a complaint under labor laws, and they're protected from reprisal. They've shifted the dynamic from an emotional plea to a legal assertion.
they stop pleading and start demanding what's legally theirs. Example B, the classic landlord nightmare. They wrongly keep your security deposit. You move out and you feel totally helpless.
The unprepared tenant loses that money almost every time. The legally prepared tenant wins
Why?
because they kept the documentation. They have the original agreement, all the rent receipts, and that's critical. They have photos and videos of the property's condition when they moved in and when they moved out.
And how does that help them get the money back without a huge lawsuit?
Because when that tenant sends a formal legal notice, armed with all that evidence, citing the exact law that was broken, the landlord does the math. They realize it's cheaper to just return the deposit than to pay legal fees to fight a battle they're going to lose. That's a phenomenal example, prevention being better than the cure. Okay, finally, example C, something really sensitive. Online harassment of a child. Parents feel so overwhelmed.
They feel like the digital world is uncontrollable. But it's not. Cyber laws offer specific, powerful tools. The informed parent knows to immediately gather evidence, screenshots, URLs, timestamps.
You'd report it.
Report it to the platform and to the authorities. The law gives them the power to petition for that content to be taken down, and it allows authorities to identify the offender, even if they're anonymous. The door to justice opens the moment you knock with evidence in your hand.
That brings us from the risks to a real synthesis for everyone listening. We've established that awareness is power. So what does this all mean day to day? Let's boil it all down into an essential legal life checklist. This is the foundation. Number 1, read every single document before you sign it. Understand the penalties, understand the arbitration rules.
2, keep proofs for every significant transaction. Digital records are your best friend. Always prefer a bank transfer to cash.
3, be responsible on social media. Just remember that every single character you type creates a legal record. Verify, think, and get consent.
4, create a basic legal plan for the future. A simple will, make sure your nominations are up to date. It will save so much heartache later.
5, know your rights. And don't be afraid to assert them when you have the documentation to back you up. Confidence comes from preparation.
And number 6, maybe the most important one. Consult a lawyer before there's a problem, not after. Treat legal advice like preventative maintenance for your life.
And that really brings us to the concluding wisdom here. You don't need to go to law school. You don't need to memorize statutes. You just need to know how the law affects you. And more importantly, how it protects you in these specific everyday situations.
That's the superpower we talked about at the start. Prevention is always, always cheaper than litigation. The moment you understand the law and you're prepared, you fundamentally change your place in the world.
You stop living like a potential victim, subject to the whims of others. You start living like a confident, empowered individual who knows their rights and knows their standing.
What stands out to me is how much of our daily anxiety is tied up in these unknown risks. But if we apply this foundation of awareness, we can actually start to control that. So consider what area of your life, maybe it's digital privacy, your employment rights, property issues, you need to investigate next. Build on this powerful new foundation.
Stay aware, stay protected, and stay legally empowered.
Thank you for diving deep with us today. Until next time.
Subscribe to Ambat Legal Insight and stay legally informed with clear, practical, and reliable breakdowns of the law. Follow our channel and activate the bell icon so you never miss important legal updates, case analyses, and expert insights that matter to every citizen. Support our mission of spreading legal awareness by liking, sharing, and commenting, because your one action can help thousands become more legally empowered. Join the ALI community today across YouTube, podcast, and social platforms and take a step toward understanding your rights, your laws, and your justice. Ambat Legal Insight, because law is for everyone.